Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So in my last video, I showed you how to do the double stack cluster chart in both Excel and Power BI. One common usage of the chart is also to show the grand total on the top of the columns, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. Now let's jump into the charts. First, I'll show you in Excel. The version that I use for this file is Microsoft 365. It is an online subscription version. If your computer uses an earlier version of the Office, the layout might be slightly different from this version. So you can see this is the market data that I already set up. We also still added the rows. So you can see this is the market data with the total compensation data added. It is actually a formula that's the sum of the three components. We still have this row to make sure that we can do the double stacked column chart that we want. And now I'll show you how to reproduce this chart here. So as you can see, we actually have the total compensation labeled above, which is actually picking up from this column. So how do we do that? First, you select all the data, and then you still insert this stacked column chart from Excel. So this is the original chart that Excel gives you. And you can do some basic formatting like we did last time. We change the gap width to make it wider. You can change the color of your column. And then now we are at the point that we need to deal with the total compensation. So we want the data label of it, but we don't want to show the bar. Let's deal with the data label first. So first select this data and then go to add data label. It will show you something like this, but we don't want it to be staying in the middle. We want it to stick to the columns below. So to do that, you select the data label, right click and go to format data label. It will show you some options, and then for the position you go to inside base. So then the data label will be close enough to the bottom. Then what you need to do is actually to remove or make it look unseeable. So to do that, you can go to fill, make it white, make it no outline so it doesn't show. And that's why I want to remove the grid line, so that in this way the grid line doesn't show, and then you can basically only see the data label here. However, if you do with this kind of layout, you'll see like the bars look so small because the top part, the total comp, is taking a lot of the space here. So now we actually need to change the vertical axis to make it more aligned with the one below, so that our components are showing more clearly. So to do that, you can right click, and the maximum right now is 600. So let's actually change it to 50 or 260. You can look at the total here, and you can see 253 is the biggest number, so maybe our maximum can be 260, and then you go okay. It does, like, sometimes the axis will auto adjust to be a negative number, but you know, like in pay we never pay negative, so you can remove that and just make sure that your minimum is 0. So, and then you can change your title and everything. And also, let's say if you don't want to show the legend, the total compensation in the legend, because you didn't show this part. The only parts that you're showing in this chart is actually only the base pay, short-term incentive, long-term incentive. Then simply go to the legend and just click on the total compensation until it's only selecting the total compensation, and then just delete it. And then here you go. So basically you have added the grand total to your double stack column charts. Now let's see how to make the same chart in Power BI. The version I use for this file is Power BI updated in May 2023. It is a free version that you can download from the link in the description below. So first, if you have questions about how to make this chart, you can check my video last week. We need to reorganize the market data first. So if this is the original market data, you can see we have the total comp here, and what's different this time is that you just need to make sure the total compensation is also an additional row that's added to your data set. And this is the table that you will need to import into Power BI. So similar to last time, let's copy this data table because it is small, and then we can just simply copy and paste it into Power BI. So this is a chart that we ended with last time. It is this data table. So in order to add the total comp data into it, we need to go to transform data and go to the data table that you used, which is the data table, and then go to apply the steps source, double click, and this table that we pasted in last time will jump out. And basically you just click onto the first cell and paste, and then go OK. And your data will be updated after you click on close and apply. So after this model, you can see that your data table is now automatically updated with the total compensation data. And similar to the idea in Excel, we would just need to make sure that we change the label of the total compensation to be closer to the columns, and we also change the bar into white so that we would not see it on the chart. So how do we do that? First, let's change the color of the label. So for that, you go to apply condition colors, start from the first one. The field value that we have this time is total compensation, and you just need to make sure it's white. So you're not seeing it here. So let's go to other. You do have to customize the data. So you can point to white, or you can just simply manually type 255 for each of the colors and then go OK. It will show white, and then it's white. And you just do the same thing for the second column. Okay, so now it's white, but there are two things we want to do. We want to move the position of the data label, and we want to get rid of the grid line, because the grid line is showing that we are actually making this part white, and we don't want our audience to see that. So to do that, go to the format. There are a couple steps that we need to do. So first, I want to remove the y-axis title. I just don't think we need to show that. So for that, you go to y-axis, and you go to show title, and then you turn it off, then it wouldn't show. And then second, I want to remove my grid line. So in order to do that, I go to grid line and then turn it off, and then you wouldn't see that. And then now the last thing we need to do is change the position of our data label. So to do that, you go to each of the columns. So let's go to column 1. In there, you would have the data label. You will have the placement. It's set as auto now. We want to make it to be inside start. So that will drop it back to close to the columns. And then you do the same thing for the second column. And of course, you can change the size, the color of your tags if you want to. So this is how this chart looks in Power BI. One thing I do need to note is that I was trying to do the same thing as in Excel, which is automatically change, like manually change the y-axis so that our columns can look bigger instead of showing this massive space. Unfortunately, because this is a custom chart, it's not the chart that's originally already placed in Power BI, I don't think you can do that. What I have been trying to do is, for example, I go to y-axis and I found this auto range, which is turned on, and I turn it off, which means that I can manually input the numbers I want to put in. So for example, I show 300. So in this case, you can see that I adjusted my y-axis, which makes my columns look much better. However, I'm losing my data labeling. And I think that's just a bug with the chart creator. And unfortunately, it doesn't matter how big you go for the chart, it just wouldn't show as properly unless you go to like the full size. So for this, I'm not gonna fuss about it. I would just keep it as auto. It shows pretty much the same thing as what we did, and there's nothing I can do about it now. If you know a better way to do this, you can let me know, or we may just have to wait for the next version of updates from this chart provider. Okay, so that is how you can do this in Power BI. That's everything I want to share with you today. Thank you for watching. In my next video, I will show you how to do this double stacked cluster charts in both Excel and Power BI with templates, so you can replicate this kind of chart with a different set of data, a different set of topic more easily and efficiently. So I will see you in the next video.